What's up, deal makers? We just finished Ask Alex number 94. We were talking about lifestyle by design and location independence today. Alex, what were your biggest takeaways?
Well, a couple big takeaways. We covered this framework of thinking of how you could have this independence, right? And it really kind of started with this whole creating a vision, having really clear goals of what that looks like for you, and then starting getting that journey going, taking action. And then there's also like the focus on the growth, but you got to look at the webinar to learn the rest. Let's go.
Good stuff. Let's do one more just in case. All right, here we are. What's up, everyone? This was Ask Alex number 94. We were talking about location independence and how to design your life the way you want it. Alex, what were some of your biggest takeaways about today?
Man, this was a cool webinar because I thought about this deeply since this is something that I'm really passionate about. But we talked about just these steps, these 7 steps to be able to create really the life of your dreams. First, by having that vision and then setting the goals, and then beginning the journey after you're clear about what you're going to be doing. And then after that, just focusing on the growth. And there's so many more steps, but they're easy to follow. Check out the webinar to learn the rest. Let's go. All right. What's up, my deal makers? Got a couple people in the building. Thanks for joining. I think we're just waiting for my man Will Wall to jump into the building. Gonna make sure all audio visual is good. I'm tuning in from Guadalajara. And we're gonna talk about location independence today, guys. Ladies and gentlemen. It's something I don't think people talk about it enough. And we thought some people want to get away a little bit more, but they just don't know how. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about having a clear vision about the life you want to design and some fun stuff. What's up, Will?
Guadalajara, down in the motherland. That's good for you, man. I know you're excited to be down there. Coming back soon, though. I know we have our event here in downtown LA. We're excited for that. That's coming up tomorrow, the 22nd of September. So that should be pretty fun. I'm excited to get to see all of our deal makers down there. And obviously you're going to be back here in LA. So that's exciting as well. What else has been going on for you, my man?
Dude, a lot of cool stuff. I'm not in Hawaii right now, but a lot of the people from the Maui Mastermind, some high level performers, investors, entrepreneurs, they got to stay at the house for a little bit of their because there's 2 Maui Mastermind classes, so they run back-to-back weeks, and it was amazing to see people out there having a good time, enjoying the property, making connections, and then shouting us out. So that's been cool. Dude, big numbers are in, and we already have 300 plus people signed up for the downtown LA meetup tomorrow. So, man,
huge team effort. Right? I'm excited for that. 300 people RSVP'd coming out. Like, bro, this is going to be extremely big, right? Probably the bit, I think, again, networking wise, this is the biggest room you can be in. It's over an hour and a half, 2 hours of just sitting there networking with high hitters in LA. And it's really in downtown LA, which is a perfect area for everybody, like East LA, the Valley, the South Bay. Anybody can kind of get there by 7 o'clock, and that's when we kind of get things kicked off after, a good 2 hours of networking. So I'm fired up. This should be a lot of fun. 300 deal makers.
Yeah, dude, I'm super pumped. Again, to town tomorrow or tonight. And then, dude, we're going to set it on fire. I love it. Also, really happy about you getting your house hacked to the closing table. I know that's something you've been wanting for a while. Super excited for you. I think you're going to be able to have a office space at home, get some income from the other unit, just continue to use that until your next deal that you acquire. So I'm happy for you, bud, on that one.
It should be a big one. The house hack getting to the finish line is big. We're excited, grateful, humbled by the opportunity to own property here in LA, and this is one of the big dominoes when you look at acquiring rental properties. Getting a house hack is a way that you can still make money. You can still invest right now, even in a down market. Because you're different than somebody who's flipping the house, different than somebody who's holding it as long-term rental, right? Like you're using other ways of hacking the mortgage to essentially lower your effective rent. And the numbers are in, like you said, and it should be, a property that should lower my effective rent pretty healthily, or, allow me to, earn income depending on the route that I choose to go. So it should be a really good opportunity.
Yeah, man. And you were crystal clear with your criteria, right? What you wanted to buy, what type of house hack was it, what area. And so when you get specific on anything, you're more likely to achieve it because you know exactly what you want. So, and we're gonna be talking about that today.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we'll talk about vision and having good goals and clear goals. So good stuff. I know, obviously, like you said, you're back in LA. I know we're gonna be doing this meetup, so we're pretty excited about that. Today, though, we are gonna be talking about, a lifestyle by design, right? Something that you're very big on, Alex, something that you, have several, mentors in your close circle that are very big on this as well. So I'm really excited to dive into that and kind of go over how you've been able to kind of structure your day and your weeks and your months and your team to kind of feed that goal for you. So that should be a fun kind of topic for us to dive into today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What else is up? We've also recently got our cash out refinance done on our Maui property. And I'll tell you, man, that was a heavy lift. And to finally get that one done, that was gratifying as well, because, we had to relocate some tenants. We need to rehab the property under difficult circumstances. We, there was a large project. We got turned down on the first application. So it was a long road to that finish line, and to get it there, super happy about that, because we're keeping the property. We will be using it, within our network and as a second home, and in many different ways to build more value within our tribe. So, that I couldn't be happier about that one. And then, I'm back down here in Guadalajara, filming some content, and then just getting kind of a real clear vision about what we're going to be working on going forward on the rest of the portfolio, and some of the things that, that we're working on, that we got to make sure we get dialed in. So super pumped though, talk about location independence.
Yeah, let's dive in. I know, obviously, like when you think about, lifestyle by design, you think about location independence, right? Like those are, some terms that you and I are pretty familiar, but, maybe some of the folks on the call or tuning in on YouTube a little bit later, might not be as familiar with. So if you are tuning in on the call, real quick, if you do get a chance, go ahead and just use that chat feature down there while we get started here, and let us know where it is that you're tuning in from. And if you are on Instagram, what is your social media handle? Where can we connect with you outside of today? We'd love to get that information there in the chat. And then if you guys do have any questions while we're firing off, on the conversation today, there's a little Q&A button right next to the chat button down there at the bottom of your Zoom page. Just go ahead and use that. Throw in any questions you have for Alex. Again, Alex is, I wouldn't say a master of lifestyle by design. I think, he's still studying and a student of the game, but we'll kind of talk about, mastery and how to achieve mastery, as part of this process. But I think, Alex, like you'll admit, you're always studying the game and trying to learn how to do things better and, live more virtually and live more by design and plan your life better and your day better. You're never complete. So let's kind of talk real quick, start things off, location independence. What does that mean to you?
Well, it means to me that I could leave for a long period of time, a medium period of time, short period of time, and not be tied to one specific location. If I could live in multiple locations, multiple places that, just offer different things lifestyle wise. And sometimes when you don't go outside of your current area for long stretches of time, you kind of forget what's out there in the world. And so I think that's why I've kind of started after having moved over to Hawaii about 2 years ago. It showed me that you can grow a business remotely, but there are some steps that you need to take to be able to do that.
Good stuff. And I just put it in the chat there for those of you guys that don't know, right? Like you said, Alex, being able to remove yourself from one location, right? And to be able to operate, to live, to function in multiple areas. And you know, like I mentioned there in the chat, you know, obviously you have a home base here in Los Angeles. You have, you know, your property out in, you know, Mexico, the penthouse out there, and then the estate out in Maui. So, you know, you kind of have these three places that are all set up so that you can function, so that you can operate, so that you can run your business from any of those, even though those might be in a different time zone. They're certainly in different locations, some of them even in different countries, right?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, if you have the place that you can do your same routine, but you just need to shift an hour or two here and there, it's really more of a mindset that you're adopting, saying, hey, I can be productive and I can operate my business and I could operate at a high level as long as I have certain things in my environment to help me do that and produce those results. Why is it that I'm limited to just staying and doing that in one place? There's advantages to staying in one place and concentrating your effort and being there grinding, and you know, because I've done that as well. But once you have more, just to say financial resources, you have the decisions and options to decide at that point. Do I want to stay at this one place, or do I want to explore the world a little bit more, check things out, go 2 weeks here? You know, these little mini. I read the book, The 4-Hour Work Week, and some of it comes from that, where you're just these mini retirements. Oh, I'm going here for a month, or I'm going this other place, and it ends up costing a lot less than what you expect. It's more of you just going out there and deciding that I need to explore more to see where else I might be happy living or spending some time.
Good stuff. And I know, right, like when you think about independence, right, I think a lot of people think of, you know, financial independence, right? Like that's kind of the first thing that you hear a lot in real estate investing, like, hey, what's your why? You know, well, it's financial independence, but that's really just one part of it, right?
Absolutely. Well, the reason people want financial independence is because then they know they don't have to work, so then they have time to do whatever they want. Well, most people eventually want to do some type of travel or go on vacations to do that. So I'm more of an advocate of already doing that before you're financially free. So then that way you have even more motivation to become financially free because you do more of it. I mean, it's really that simple, compound effect of let me already enjoy some of the fruits of my labor. It's not like you're going to go out there and spend your last dime. That's why you're an investor. You have to start out. But once you start to grow and have some, you know, some whatever that be equity or cash flow or savings, all that, you need to explore different parts of living and see how that fits into your life and business, because those two are going to be interrelated consistently throughout your life, your business and your life. So why not try to have why not design them in a way where they kind of complement each other, and then they don't but they're both extremely important to grow and to make an impact and to be successful.
I love that. And you know, again, I think it's full circle, right? It's understanding that, you know, there's time independence, there's financial independence, there's also location independence. It doesn't need to be in any, you know, particular order, right? So for you, you just said, hey, why don't I still focus on, you know, the time independence, which I still want my financial independence, but let me just kind of focus on first and foremost saying, hey, I don't need to be somewhere that I don't want to be. You know, I can be in multiple places that I do want to be. Another thing I love that you kind of touched on earlier was just, you know, your habits, right? And, you know, kind of knowing, hey, as long as I can get my routine in and my habit in, it doesn't really matter where that is, right? Like, you know, I know looking behind you, you have your whiteboard, right? You know, it doesn't matter where you go, you're always going to have that whiteboard. That's something that's super easy for you. You know, costs $100. You know, Amazon, you can get that delivered virtually anywhere in the world. You know, but having that whiteboard is something that kind of gives you, hey, this is my day. I can have my plan. You know, I can make my list. I can film some content here. You know, those are certain non-negotiables, certain habits, certain, you know, things that you're able to do in those environments. So that's great stuff. I know also, you know, obviously being remote has its profitability, you know, functions as well, right? Like you're not paying an overhead for an office. You are paying that overhead for those different locations, but, you know, we don't necessarily have a brick and mortar office that we're coming into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you know, a big part of that was COVID. Let's just, you know, kind of really throw it out there, right? COVID helped, or not helped, but it basically formed this environment where we needed to now work virtually and was required to do more of that for long stretches of time. It changed just the business and the way it was conducted for a long stretch. And so we adopted that and we started thinking about, okay, well, this is what we need to do anyway, because the world is changing with this whole virus and the way things are going. So I saw a lot of people resist that and not like grow their team or just not really execute because they weren't hosting meetings on Zoom and getting things done. And even though they're not working in an office together, that they can still go out there and do their business.
Yeah, and obviously, we do our business, and some of our team members aren't here in Los Angeles. They aren't in Hawaii. They, aren't even in Mexico, really, right? So, having that ability, to be able to mesh team members from different kind of, areas is also got to be something big on it. I know, again, that kind of, you like you said, COVID was kind of a big wake up call, I think, for a lot of big businesses, right? That, maybe having people in the office every day wasn't always going to be the best bet. Us specifically here in Los Angeles, you can spend up to an hour sometimes in traffic just getting from one place to another.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So is
important
that how you want your employee coming into the office is after an hour of traffic and knowing they're going to sit in an hour of traffic getting home? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not one or the other. You have to do the in-face meetings now, and you do need to do the virtual stuff, like because you have virtual team members, at least we do. And so it's something that's a constant thing. I can't even imagine a way of doing business if I'm not having consistent video conferencing type of meetings with people that help me execute on everything that we're working on. I mean, we're working on a lot of projects, but I think you have to find these systems and find these people that are, where your goals are aligned. And once you do that, then everybody can get on the same page of like, hey, we're going to be flipping this house. This is how much profit we're making. We're doing this, we're doing that, and you're playing this piece, I'm playing this piece, and everybody can begin to try to work in harmony and operate like a well-oiled machine and a top producing team, because you do need various people doing things within the whole chain, and it's really hard to just try to do that all by yourself if you're trying to go remote. You need to see, the thing is, you need to delegate, and you need to attract other people that kind of you can trust, and that's hard to do remotely. That's why a lot of what we built on were built on stuff that existing relationships or relationships that were based in Southern California. And sure, I was in Hawaii, but I already built out a lot of extensive knowledge and a network that I could and then also around the time that you began to work with me and do everything we did about 2 years ago, well, that all together aligned to be able to do that. So it's not as easily as presented, but it's something that I think anybody can do as long as you put some thought into it, and then take test runs. You don't have to necessarily live somewhere else, but I think it's being able to execute and do things and get things done, but not limited to like where you're at when you're doing them. Like I want to be anywhere in the world. I don't care if I'm like in New York or I've been some green space in the middle of nowhere. I want to be able to potentially put together a deal if it need be, and not be limited to the idea of like, oh, I have to be in an office in this area to execute and to get things done. No, life doesn't work that way. It's not that simple with black and white. There's a lot of gray in between. And sure, there's a lot to be said about being focused on one thing, but then you need to also be open to putting these deals together, because you can't always control when they come together. Sometimes there's some random moments and things like that. And so the reason that comes to mind is because I can think of several deals where I was like in an Uber, or I was just like, in a random Airbnb. Yeah, I was comfortable in that place, but it wasn't some place I had to spend a lot of time in. And I'm on very, very important phone calls or Zoom calls remotely. And that pulling that off, it gave me confidence to say, hey, we can continue to do this. But we're scaling this thing up. We're going in as long as we're hosting these effective meetings, and then we're bringing the right team members onto what we're doing. And then everybody has their role, and then there's really, I mean, we're short staff at times, right? But at the end of the day, you don't need to have a big staff. You just need to have like 1 or 2 people to help you at the beginning, and it just grows from there, right?
Yeah, and I know, obviously, like you said, you're able to be in these Ubers, you're able to be in these different locations. That goes a long way too, right? That gives you the ability to grow maybe bigger relationships, because now you're not boxed into just Los Angeles, right? You're able to say, hey, I'm able to go to Hawaii and grow some big relationships with some big people out there. I know we mentioned, the Mexico place, like you've hosted a lot of big investors in both Maui, in Mexico. We have our properties in the Antelope Valley. Maybe those aren't as attractive to people. They're not flying out saying, hey, I want to visit you guys in the AV. But we're going to get the Arizona properties up and going soon. those will be available for people. So I think that allows you to build those networks and those groups of people that are willing to help you as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. We started designing that way where we, certain properties are, we either eating the cost or we are finding some way to supplement that in a way that the property is not being used all that much. The example would be, the property in Hawaii, and yes, the Airbnbs in Arizona will be making profit, but also if people need to use them that we're working with, then that'll be another something that's another something that we could offer them. But really, it has been where I've noticed, just like with me, is it just, they say as an entrepreneur, you got to create what you want out there in the world. And I wanted, would like to, hang out with cool other like-minded professionals in places that are, also different than where maybe I am usually. And that's why masterminds and courses, or, going places for retreats and things like that, whether for business or spiritual, whatever that is very popular, because you want to get away out of your element, right? And I just like that, I think, more than most people, but I still think people need it in their life where they, get away from their normal zone. Like you just spent 10 days in Hawaii, and I'm sure that helped rejuvenate you, kind of get back, something that maybe that we sometimes lose when we're just working for months straight,
I love it. So, again, I think, like you said, obviously, this is a big subject for you. So I want to talk a little bit about, the virtual team specifically. So, you've mentioned having this virtual team, virtual players on the team. Like, how is that able to kind of help you create this location independence and this lifestyle by design?
Well, yeah. So firstly, you say talking about flipping a house. Let's just look at that way. You didn't flip a house. Usually, somebody has to go look at the house. Well, that's just something that you don't necessarily have to do if you have someone that's experienced. So first thing is you typically need someone to go look at a house and vet the rehab amount. If you're very familiar with the area, which you probably should be before you start like thinking about buying a property, which let's assume that you are, and then you really just have to hit your numbers. If you don't look at the property, this means you can't buy it, but you need someone to look at and vet that deal that way. You also are going to need someone who's going to help fund the deal, as far as usually hard money if you're flipping a house. So the lending side of that, or you would need to find some buyers if you're wholesaling property. But a lot of that, again, can be done remotely. There's a couple of things that you need to be there physically, but I think is the project manager that also is helping estimate that rehab. Eventually will be boots on the ground there, but you can you find somebody, track somebody that's willing to run the rehab for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be an employee. It could be a contract, type of team member that we've done a lot on our stuff. And
you can manage that person virtually, right? Like you don't need to be there every day to manage a property manager that you hire. They're there to manage that property for you, right? If you hire a contractor, they're going to be there to manage those subs for you. So I think, like you said, those are all team members that are able to help you play a part of that vision as well.
Yeah, and then you have someone that maybe help you find the deals, an acquisitions person. Well, if you are bringing an opportunity, you're ready to buy property, or you have the system to wholesale property, you do kind of typically need someone boots on the ground for that. But that's literally two people, and you don't need an army behind you. So people assume just because maybe we have a little bit of a bigger team than some other companies have much larger teams, but you only need that 1-2 people and to help you flip, whatever, call it half a dozen houses a year. It's not that difficult, especially if you know your market and you have decent funding. If you're a decent borrower, you should be able to find deals remotely and not have to be there physically and still get it done and make profit. And you're sharing some of the profit because people are helping you to do that. But if say a project is $50,000, I mean, $50,000 kind of goes a long way. If you're doing, say half a dozen, that's $300,000-$400,000. Now you got some real potential there to keep a property, bring on another team member or two, just continue reinvesting into yourself. And that's really how I got started. I found that you just needed to get kind of a couple people to help you out so you can be more focused on the things that matter and that actually are going to help you make money moving forward, and then have everybody else help you with the rest.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I think, the virtual team, whether it's you being virtual or your team members being virtual, they can either way still help you hit your vision, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
So
we talk about roles and goals. We're just constantly finding alignment between their goals and then also what you're searching for as well to make sure that that's always aligned.
good stuff, man. While we're on the topic, like what other tips and tricks do you have maybe for people that are looking to, work remotely or build a remote team or something like that? Like, what can they start with? Obviously, you said, building a team around something familiar, right? Like you would want to start in an area that you're familiar with, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think your target really is to have some type of well-defined, well-planned marketing. Either you're going to be going for deals or again, well thought out funding, set up if you're going to be flipping. So that way you either have the money to buy the house or you have the design of the marketing to generate the leads to wholesale, which I mean, they're kind of a little bit different models, but I know wholesalers and investors kind of usually attend this call, and we do majority for sure flipping and buying, but we also use strategies that wholesalers predominantly use to try to get our own deals, or we do get our own deals that way as well. So I think you got to kind of think about how you're going to do that. And then also, it really comes down to two simple things, which is like the systems and then the people. We all have systems. That was a thought I had before, that whether that's a system you have for waking up and doing something after you wake up, or it's making an offer, how you make the offer, or how you analyze the deal. Like there's so many systems involved. So, having the right systems, but crappy people doesn't really work. But so you need to have a good system, but great people. Like that's the way I've seen it produce the best results. Because you don't need the absolute people are trying to have the most complicated, complex system and build it all out before they're even really that profitable, rather than just going out there, getting their feet wet and then getting a couple of deals under the belt and then growing from there. They overcomplicate it and then end up not taking that much action, or not growing in the pace they can because they're just doing that. So, yeah.
Good stuff. And, again, I know you mentioned some marketing, right? Because I think that's where a lot of people maybe go wrong when they're trying to integrate a virtual team member, is when it comes to like direct to seller marketing and maybe, relying solely on that virtual team member, to do something like that. Let's talk a little bit about like, are you building systems that these, virtual team members can kind of fit into, or how are you making it, easier to integrate in these team members?
Well, I think the initial part is once you start to either do the marketing or making the offers, you start to begin to get results, right? Once you start to get results, you end up like finding out what's working. Well, you should be tracking everything and keeping key tabs on what's working, what's not, and what to stop and all that. And once you're doing that, you start to see like who you might need to plug into the system. So it's never just like just hire somebody either. Initially it is because you're just, I need to hire someone to help me do some administrative stuff. Okay, cool. Well, then you hire that virtual team member. They're $7 an hour. You train them up. They're helping you with admin stuff, calling utility companies, doing like data entry, creating little small, little marketing pieces you might need, and just doing stuff that it will help you out. But like, it's not going to help you make a ton of money more, much more money. It'll help you more on saving your time to identify what is the best use of your time. Because I think that's a constant moving target that people forget to keep a close eye on, which is what's my time worth? What do I want it to be worth? And how do I spend more time on the things that are going to help me get to that higher per hour activities? Does that all make sense?
We call it right people, right seats, right? Getting that right person in, where their best use of time is being used on things that are revenue generating activities ultimately, right?
Yes, precisely, because that changes, and hopefully that's going up. But you're going from $100 an hour, that's what you're kind of making, to 500 to 1,000 to 5,000, stuff like that. Where, well, what is that? Someone that's making I'm not making $5,000 an hour yet, but what does that person spend their time on, and who are they spending time with? I think is a very important question that I'm constantly asking myself. That's why I'm in rooms that people are worth 100 times or a lot more than what I'm worth, and I'm sitting there listening because they've and it's not always about money. It's really about what they build and what they've created and how that's helped a lot of other people. So it's, yeah, sure, that's a number. Like this person has a portfolio of 500 doors, but really how many people are he's going to employ, or is that person he or she employing? How many people are they helping out? in their business and be giving people a living. So there's also that part of it as well, right?
Yeah, let's shift gears real quick, and we had a question come in. Um, obviously, like you mentioned, you're in some big rooms sometimes, with some big people. How do you stay grounded?
Okay, well, that's a really good question. I think grounding comes from feeling like you are present in the moment, and these big opportunities. And that's difficult because sometimes, I posted about this before, that not all days are the same, right? Not all dinners are the same. Some are way more important than others. And the more times you're in these situations and you're able to keep your composure, but add value and also be memorable and also follow up and find ways to stay connected with these high level people, that is something that I've worked on getting better at, and I highly recommend anybody that's ever been in room with people that you either want to be like in some way or respect what they've built and like to do something as great or better. And these are not easy relationships to cultivate and to continue to nurture, and then because they don't develop usually like very quickly, they take some time, and during that you're growing and they're generally growing, and then you can continue to stay connected. So I think that's one big thing is staying grounded, having kind of a solid routine wherever I'm at. It doesn't have to be perfect, and that's what people get mistaken, like, oh, I have to run this way, or I have to have these pair of shoes, or I have to be in this situation, or I can only do this type of workout. Like you need
you can just be getting a workout in, right? It doesn't have to be the same workout. You might want to do a certain workout, but just getting any workout in the beginning of the morning sets your day off better than if you get that workout in later in the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. So usually I'm doing some type of meditation in the morning. Usually I'm having some type of morning green drink. Usually I have my workout in a little bit after that, like still in the morning before I get to the office work. And sometimes when I'm in Hawaii, I have to work out with the kettlebell, like on the lanai. I want to run to the beach, but I just don't have that time, especially because it's 3 hours behind LA, and I have to get after right as soon as I wake up. And here in Guadalajara, I like to swim at my pool or go into the gym that's pretty close by to my apartment. But like I would go somewhere else and do something. But hey, like I gotta stay kind of close to the computer sometimes to get stuff done. And then so they're just like, you design your wherever you're at to make sure it aligns with you still staying physically fit, they still focus. I have vitamins at every single place that I live, that I stay at, or I usually travel with some amount of vitamins or some type of green supplement, and or certain things that I know will help me, even though like maybe I might fall off my diet here and there, but then I have at least my vitamins with me, and then I'm always focusing on having clean drinking, typically alkaline water, and wherever I'm at, and they have it, all over the world. So just having these defined things, like, hey, that'll help me stay grounded. And then just I'm thinking about in ahead of time.
It takes 21 days to start a habit, right? So I mean, I think even for you, like having those vitamins helps that habit stay strong, right? Having any workout in helps that habit stay strong, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you have to think out where you're going to be staying at, living at, if it's going to be somewhere different than where you're at normally. And I guess a lot of people don't want to do that potential work, but if you invest that time, then you find some magical results, because you've changed to a different environment, but you still have the things that help you be successful. Well, I argue that, there's a lot of value and benefit to that compared to just like gonna do it in the same place. And then you're not, and then if you go to a conference for 3 days, like you're not like stuck at just that conference, you're gonna get some stuff done in addition to going in and crushing and learning from that conference and connecting with a lot of individuals. So you start to add to your ability to get things done, bottom line. Right? Well,
yeah, good stuff, man. I think a lot of people on here are probably going to be able to resonate with that. Building healthy habits. I think everybody wants to kind of do stuff like that. And obviously I'm sure that helps you, stay grounded when you are, doing this different, cities, this location independence, right? So let's kind of, break it down here as we finish up the last, half of this hour and kind of dive into stuff here. If you were to kind of break down a framework for somebody who was on the call and they were saying, hey, look, Alex, I want to start, designing my life, what would that starting step look like? Like where would the first place somebody would have to go to get that process going in their life?
Yeah, we've kind of created a framework to talk about it, and it just kind of comes out to about like 7 steps. I don't know, we'll probably won't have time enough to talk all of them today, but I think we talk about a couple, and then I'll be posting stuff in the future either on the Facebook group or on my Instagram feed. So just check that out, because I think it's something that has really helped me to think of it in the way of certain steps that will help you do it, for whatever journey that you want to set yourself up on. So the first thing is really just kind of creating your vision about what you want to create and look at your business to look like. For me, and this is for me only, is I saw real estate, flippers after the recession making a lot of money, and I was a real estate agent, and I thought to myself, I'm getting these people this deal, they're making 100 grand, I'm making 10 grand, like I'm on the wrong side of this corner here. I got to figure this out, and that's what set me on the path to finding, flipping houses to help me get more freedom in my life. So I think, but that the vision was very simple. It was like, hey, let me learn how to flip houses, and then once I do that, I'm sure I'm going to make great money. And once I great money, then I'm going to be able to keep more of these houses, and then eventually I'm not going to have to work anymore, because I'm going to be able to have enough rentals and all that. So it was a simple vision, but at least I know that's what I wanted. So I think people need to start there and have really a clear goal of what that looks like. Yeah.
So clear goal, right? And again, you got to define it, right? Like it's got to be, a measurable goal, something that you can track, something that you can keep, hey, this is where I'm going. We've talked about this before, in our meetings, Alex, right? If the airplane goes just a degree off course, they can end up, 80, 100 miles off target. So the same thing kind of happens with you and your goals. If you don't have that clear vision of what your life would look like, how you want your life to look, it's very easy to fall off and not have it look that way, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important that you have, the clear defined vision, and have it over a year, have it also the next like 90 days. So have different increments, but really you need to review your goals, I think, at least every quarter, and see like if you're off track, like you're just mentioning, you're on track. But I find that a lot of people are not that clear about what they're doing and what they're focusing on. It's easy to get distracted. I mean, and we fall victim to this all the time. So I think we're just sharing with you guys that we're constantly modifying, looking at the vision, because as you get new results, new data, things happen in people's lives, and business results. Well, then you need to make decisions off that as well. So it's not like, okay, we're going to hit this number, and then we're like halfway through the year and we're like, okay, we're not going to hit this number, but we were hitting these other numbers. We need to focus on these other things. They're actually profitable, or this is work for us. So I mean, I think that that's one big part of it. And then after that, you really need to, once you create that vision, don't waste any time, take action right away. That doesn't mean it means maybe going to a meetup tomorrow. It means making an offer tomorrow, but get started as soon as possible, because we're always going to procrastinate things that we're not familiar with, and it's better just to jump in. You have to. I've seen so many people kind of overthink, should I do this, should I do that? Just take action and begin the journey right away.
Yeah. Love that. I know we always talk about like, when's the best time to buy real estate? Is it now, or is it better to buy, or wait and buy? So I think, you nailed it right there. So, right. Your vision is clear. You're getting ready to start the journey. What's kind of next on your radar? What are you doing next if you're looking to build this lifestyle by design?
Yeah. So I think the next one comes to mind is focusing your mind on mastering something and being great at something, and prioritizing that over trying to make money right away, because it's hard to earn really high amount of money in this business if you don't have, it's just a great amount of knowledge and experience, or somebody along your side that has that. I don't know anybody that's making great amount of money without having that expertise or that knowledge. So you need to have some amount of mastery. And the reason I use that word is because I read this book, and that book was instrumental to me having that mindset of, hey, there's certain things that I need to know before I expect to make a certain amount of money, if that makes sense. And then to learn those things, how do I learn those things? Oh, wow, these are kind of difficult things to either acquire as far as skills, or having a combination of all these skills to be able to put together these real estate deals that are in many ways quite complex, even though they seem simple on the surface. They're very difficult to navigate and to figure out without some legal issues or losses of principal of money or things like that. So you have some real, cash and resources on the line. So I think that's, that a couple of things, those things come to mind.
Yeah, and mastery is a big part of it, right? Like, when you have your vision, I don't think anybody really sets out and says, hey, my vision is to be mediocre, right? My vision is to be, middle of the pack, right? Like most people are setting out with that vision of, hey, I want to be really good at, or potentially the best at, or maybe one of the best to ever have done this, whatever that is that they're looking to focus on. And I think if you have that vision, the next step of that is, hey, I need to, like you said, break down what incremental things I can do to master, that particular piece, whether that's sales, whether that's operations, whether that's management, whether that's, leadership, whatever that little piece might be. I think mastery definitely, can take you a long way there, right?
Yeah, and I don't mean to explain it as though that's going to take a really long time. I want to give a quick example of it, how it applied to me, where I wrote down in my notebook, I recall a master the MLS, like master comping properties, like, master, like cold calling. So there was just like these 5 or 6, 7 things that
those are just little bricks that are going to make the big wall, like, right?
How do I do that? And so I'm thinking about that above, like, oh, well, dude, how do I land this deal and try to make 100 grand? Like, well, dude, to do that, you need to have a lot of skills.
If you know how to master the MLS, then you can find a deal on the MLS. If you master comping properties, you're going to know how to comp that property when it hits you. So when that deal comes along, because you've already mastered those other 2 steps, analyzing that deal now becomes pretty simple. All you need to do is, hey, I already know how to use the MLS. I already mastered that. Okay, now I just need to do the comps. I already did that. Like now this seems a lot easier, right?
Yeah, it all pieces together, really, because you're putting the dots together, and then once you have it, more and more of the puzzle, it's easier to unlock, because then you can, just it guides your behavior. You're like, okay, so if I know this, now I'm gonna do this, and so you just get to deals faster. You disqualify deals faster because you've learned how to comp deals. You've learned how to do these things that help you do the end goal of qualifying these opportunities and then being able to potentially take them down and move forward. It definitely takes a certain amount of skill and confidence. And then, that's why you advocate working for other people, because then you're risking their money, but you're learning along the way. Eventually, when you want to risk your money, like, you have a lot more confidence, a lot more knowledge, and it's less likely for you to lose your money because it's based off experience. So that's what makes it easier for you to have that location independence, because you're like, okay, well, I know this market and I know my numbers. I've been there, done that. I could manage, a team remotely and be able to be profitable and live somewhere for a fraction of the cost, or where I want to live, rather than that area that maybe I know. Because there's a lot of people that reach out to us that they don't necessarily want to live in the place that they are at, but it's a great investment opportunity. So they want to go somewhere else and then still invest where they're at, because they have the boots on the ground and the knowledge and all that, which is, a way to go about it.
Yeah, for sure. Again, guys, if you're looking to master, the MLS or master comping, I just put in the chat over there, the YouTube page. That's where we have all the recordings of all the webinars that we've done. I think this is our 96th webinar. So we have, a bunch of opportunities for you guys to kind of master this process, and master, flipping and comping properties through those webinar recordings. So check out the YouTube if you guys haven't. Some great resources on there. I know, again, mastery certainly plays a big portion, in, lifestyle by design, right? So, obviously now you've got your vision, right? You're starting to master things. What are you doing next to kind of, again, hit this design? You're creating this lifestyle where you have location independence. How do you do that? How do you make that transition, Alex, where you're able to comp properties from wherever you're at, where you're able to analyze a deal from wherever you're at?
Well, I think another big part of it is building your network, and that helps you, comp properties, that helps you go look at properties and vet them. But I think people assume just like networking and just meeting people, but you need to invest time into nurturing these relationships, whether that be spending time with them on the phone or when you are in town or not in town. Like I make it the priority to spend face-to-face time with people that I'm, either only able to, I'm best off meeting them in person in many cases. So just because I'm virtual, when I am in certain places, I make it a point to spend time with those people, if that makes sense. So, and before I lived places, I grew relationships also virtually through social media, which you can begin to get to know people through those areas of social media. And then when you meet them in person, it makes the connection usually that much stronger. So those are a couple of examples, and why potentially building network through social media and or face-to-face networking, they're both relevant, they're both important. And once you have that, be able to lean on people, ask some questions, ask for referrals. But it does take a certain amount of time and effort to be memorable, and then also you want people to want to work with you. So what is that going to take? And that's why we give so much to our Dealmakers community and everybody we can.
Like you said, right? Just getting on a webinar, getting on a phone call goes a long way, right? Just a phone call to check in with somebody you met a week or two ago that you said, hey, I'd love to do business with you in the future. Sometimes people don't even check back in, right? And that could just be, a small little thing that puts you back on the radar.
Yeah, exactly. Or what I also would encourage is that you continue to share your journey and stay connected through social media. So at the very minimum, they know what you're constantly up to in addition to that. So then they might reach out to you on something you're working on. But if you're not up to anything, then you're not sharing anything. So what was number 2, which is definitely begin your journey and continue your journey and get out there. You can build more connections if you meet some guy, some gal, 5 months from now, and then they've seen, oh, I've seen that you were up to this, and you did that, and then now you can have a different conversation. They've been out there growing and working and doing their thing, and you've been doing that, and then it makes these networks, these connections that much stronger, because then there's this high level of respect that is hard to just, you can't manufacture that. You have to earn that, and that's come through these constant, I call it, or I've seen it called pinging people, like, oh, just pinging people, hey, just checking in. Some of the most well-connected people I know are masters at that. I've worked on that, and I recommend that. Are you pinging people just to check in with people? I think I did that last night. I called 5 people on a video phone call that, that I just wanted to see how they were doing. I was able to reach 4 of the 5 and have quality conversations that I know were good for them, good for me, and it had nothing to do with money. It's just like, hey, let's check in and pinging with people, how people are doing, what they're working on,
Goes a long way, building your relationships, those big relationships definitely goes a long way. And I know, just building out your team, and assembling that core team of people that are going to help you, that are going to regularly help you and receive a part of the process, profits and proceeds, for helping you, I think that's a big part of it too, right? So kind of talk about that a little bit, the team, the system aspect of it, and how that can kind of, again, help you reach financial independence, time independence, and location independence ultimately.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. So at the beginning, I found that I just need somebody help with administration work. And I think that's a lot of entrepreneurs start there, or you can start with somebody helping you like in the project management or, the marketing side of things. Right. Or
quick. How did you identify that was where you wanted to go first? Were those areas that you were maybe, better at, or areas that you maybe weren't as good at, or what made you start with those?
Yeah, so I think the first is you understand what your core personality is, and mine is, sales, presentations, negotiations. I do like connecting and networking with people in general, especially if it's like kind of within the field that I'm very passionate about and working on something that I feel like it's worth talking about. I don't want to just be out there talking to people if I have nothing of quality or nothing of substance to bring to the table. So, that's, one big one.
Love that. So obviously, like you said, you're going to focus on things that you're good at and backfill those people on the team that, might be able to fill some of those deficiencies, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I was always pouring administration work. It just bored the crap out of me. I don't think that, there's certain personality types of mine isn't to be sitting in front of a computer most of my day, working at data, looking at data and things like that. And there's people that are masters of that, but that's not me. And so I think
you'd rather negotiate that next deal, handle that next sale, and pass that off to the next person who's just a really good admin person, who's really good at staying organized, really good at handling day-to-day, tasks, right?
Exactly. So that was mine, but for yours, it could be somebody that you need help managing the project, or somebody, that you need help getting the deals. Sometimes people are poor in sales, and that's not, but they still want to work in real estate investing. They have the capital, they have resources. They maybe have the rehab side down, but they don't have somebody go out there and like get deals consistently for them, but they have the resources to buy deals, or to invest in, having, marketing going for, a wholesale business. But you need to kind of look at that, what other people need, and kind of put those things together.
We talk about it all the time, right? Roles and goals, and right people in the right seats. And I think once you identify, which seat you're in and which seats you're not supposed to be in, it certainly does make that a little bit easier, right? And
yeah, and each seat has kind of a somewhat of a different value. In many ways, right? It's like if you're the money partner, but you're not going to do any execution, you have depends on where you're at in that context of the framework of that relationship of all that. But and is it the acquisitions that you're kind of you're strong in that area, but you don't have the money? Okay, then you have a certain you're in project management. Okay, you're really good at the rehab side of things, but you don't have access to any money. You're not good at getting people as far as like acquisitions. Well, then you're kind of in the middle of the chain there, and not at the top of that chain. So there's a certain value that and I think people sometimes kind of don't forget that. They just think they're not, they need to fill in pieces around them so that way they can manage things remotely. But it needs to be based off of everybody's strengths, that they should be in that seat, like you said earlier. And we say it very often, and it continues to apply. We see it every day.
Good stuff, man. We'll bring on the rest of you guys here as panelists. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding you guys in here, and you can go ahead and join on here and join us on screen. We'll kind of answer any last minute questions you guys have. I know, the last step, Alex, is obviously to just enjoy things and take action and get started, right? So once you do have that vision, once you do have that plan, the goals, the team around you, it's now time to just kind of start, operating and executing, right? And making those things happen ultimately.
Yes, sir. I think you have to enjoy the ride. It's definitely going to be ups and downs. There's going to be disappointments, but when you use real estate investing to your advantage, and it can help you transform your life in a matter of years, just like it has with me. And so that's why we share it. We'll continue to talk about it. Hey, this is what I've been able to do with my life in a matter of about 5 years. Look at what Will's been able to do with me in a little less than 2 years. We're just getting heated up, like my man Derek from Houston always says. There are some challenges in the market, so don't get started unless you're willing to take massive action. That's kind of the message too. We're willing to do it. So if you're not, it's going to be tough these next couple quarters.
Certainly agree, man. I see a couple familiar faces joining on here. Jonathan in the building. What's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
Again, appreciate you guys, the familiar faces. I know I see a couple people out here in LA as well. I'm just going to share the link one more time if you guys don't have that yet. For the DTLA meetup, it's tomorrow in downtown LA. So that is going to be tomorrow night, 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So if you guys are in town, make sure you guys hit that link and RSVP for that tomorrow. Look forward to seeing all of our LA, SoCal folks out there in the building. Alex, any other closing kind of, thoughts or anything you want to kind of share? Anybody joining in here on the screen, any kind of thoughts on lifestyle by design? Anybody kind of stuck trying to design their lifestyle and maybe not able to do it? Now would be a great time to kind of chime in and get some advice here from Alex while we have some time.
I think the last thing I want to just leave on, guys, is that, or ladies and gentlemen, is that one of the reasons I enjoy different places is because they offer you different things, right? And so Hawaii, although it is pretty expensive, but it's a magical place, and it rejuvenates you. And it's such a place that of beauty that it just a constant reminder of the beautiful places in the world that you can see. And then great services across the world, such as in Mexico, and I've been down here, done dental work. I also have, the place I have down here and everything else. You really can live like in luxury in different parts of the world for much less than what you would expect in certain places in the United States. And so definitely an advocate of spending more time in places that potentially you might want to, benefit from without necessarily moving to, but, like getting away from the grind, enjoying the ride. So I'll see you guys in LA tomorrow, or some of you in LA tomorrow though. And the rest of you keep deal making. Any questions?
What's up, fellas? I got a quick question for you guys.
Yeah, fire away, man.
I got my first fixed flip on the contract. I got it at 70% of the ARV, but now with interest rates going, with the Fed's raising interest again, kind of getting cold feet, to be honest. Like I said, I got it under that 70% ARV. And one of the first, it's in a historic area. And I don't know if you guys have experience with tile roofs, those old historical tile roofs. Just want to get your thoughts on that. If, just approaching that, I'm getting different estimates, and from contractors giving me different prices. So that's one of the hurdles I'm jumping into right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say right now it is the time to be very conservative. I need a little bit more context though to help you out, John. It'd be like, hey, so like, is this what type of, how long is this project? Is it you have a pretty big pad, or is it just kind of standard 70%? Did you walk the property? I guess there's other relevant questions, but whether, because I understand we backed out of deals, but we've also closed on a couple. But it is right now a market that you want to be very conservative. So yeah,
I walked the property. I'm estimating about conservatively 70 to 90,000 in rehab. And it needs some work interior. Nothing. I'm doing a new kitchen, 5 new bathrooms and a new kitchen, 3 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms. Those are the major components to it. And other than paint,
Yeah, so what I would say is that you got to be able to weather the storm on the worst case scenario and still make money. So I would say if you use our calculator, if not, just calculate that you're going to hold the house longer, at least 2 months. Calculate that you potentially maybe get a little bit less than what you're expecting. And then also calculate the rehab is going to be, somewhere around 10% more in case, that's for inflation numbers. And does the deal really still pan out? Are you willing to stomach that scenario? Is that scenario where you lose 5,000, or hey, you still make 25, and you want to do that if that's worst case scenario? Because if best case you make 150. I mean, I don't know enough of your numbers. I don't think we have the time to go into deep dive on it, but I definitely think it's something you got to examine those numbers of a longer holding time, and being more conservative on your numbers. And if it still pans out, take it down. If not, then maybe you want to say, hey, I need to back out, or I need to kind of be at this number because of additional risks that we're experiencing in the market. And I don't want to back out of the deal. I want to make it happen, but we need to get this, $17,000 price reduction. Cool. Well, so I don't know what that number is, but you got what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some other time I could go more numbers, but worst case scenario, have 40,000 worst case scenario, or I was also thinking of refinancing and going through with a BRRRR.
Okay. Well, if you have multiple exit strategies, then I mean that's definitely a positive, because I don't know what the rental amount is on that, or whether you could do, I know you have that full-time gig, so that helps you get the financing for the conventional on the BRRRR, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right.
So yeah, man, that might be a good option for you too. Just also use conservative numbers on the appraisal for the BRRRR, because you might need to keep money in the deal. Not the worst thing in the world, but we recently came across a situation we had to put a lot more money in the deal on a BRRRR than we wanted to, because the interest rates changed, and appraisal come in a little bit lower than what we really felt it was conservative, but we had to kind of eat it and keep in some more money in that deal. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and one thing I'll comment on that, John, is this is a sheet that we use pretty regularly. This is our inventory tracker, and it shows the sales rate. Your sales rate is going to be how many active listings there are divided by how many have been sold in the last 30 days. And you know, what Alex was just telling you about there, what I think is important from what he mentioned was, you know, just be willing to hold that property and weather the storm. If that sale rate, and that sale rate, by the way, like 1.5 means, you know, 1.5 months is how long it would take you to sell. You know, if that number is higher, you know, in some of our markets right now, we're seeing it as high as 4 or 5 months. You know, that means that it's not going to be a 2-month resale process anymore. It's going to be a 5 months. That means you're going to be holding it 130, 150 more days and making 5 more mortgage payments. So are you able to weather that storm if that's what you need to do? Cool.
Cool. All right,
Gotcha.
Dealmakers. Any other questions? We are come to our hour. I know you guys appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate your time. And I know we're going to see a lot of you guys here tomorrow as well. For those of you guys on YouTube, we'll see you guys tomorrow in downtown LA as well. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. All right.
See you guys. Thank you.